So, episode 4 of season 2 begins with, they're having a funeral for Otis, who died in the previous episode at Shane's hand. And so you had a good point.
They're like, okay, so they basically make this like mound of rocks for him.
It's like an empty cairn for him.
Yeah. Right. And at first you were like, was his body under there?
Right, because I kind of was like, he was devoured.
So,
never mind.
So, like, why are they making
I found his finger. I brought his finger back.
Why are they making such a big mound? But also this mound has at least 50 rocks on it.
Yeah.
And there's maybe like 15 people on the farm at this point.
Yeah, and they're doing like the one by one, like placing
adding
a rock thing, like going up to it, and
Did all of them put like multiple rocks, or
have they been doing it? Have they gone through the group a couple times? I don't know if this
or
makes
is it
sense.
just like a general like
mound
memorial site? So like every time one of their family members like dies or gets bitten or something, I guess not bitten because they would think that they can come back,
right?
But they like go and like put a rock and it just like builds up, so it's not actually special to Otis.
Or did they like start off by just like dumping a wheelbarrow of rocks, and then they started like the one by one thing? No, I mean it's a good question because it's far too large.
It is very large
for like the people to have each done that.
One.
Yeah. But it kind of raises some questions, like what happened before the scene started, like to where it got to this point. Yeah, I thought that was a very good point.
And so then Patricia asks Shane to talk about Otis and like how he died since he was there. And Shane's story already seems a little sketchy, but he says like how earlier Shane was like, go on, go ahead, like you save yourself, like I'll sacrifice myself. He basically said it happened the other way.
Yeah.
And Otis like sacrificed himself so Shane could live, so he could get there to
save Carl,
to save Carl, and that like he's a great man.
Yeah, he was a hero,
right?
And all the while he's making like crazed crazed faces and like
eyes.
Yeah, he's like making he's basically like acting as suspicious as possible.
And you can see this like big chunk of hair ripped out of his shaved head.
Yeah. So I just want to mention that Shane. I'm not saying he was justified to sacrifice Otis, but he did offer to sacrifice himself
first.
And I think he was being sincere because I don't see why he would like just say that. I don't think he would say you go on to Otis. I don't think Shane would say you go on without me. I'll sacrifice myself. I don't think like, okay, because then if Otis had been like, okay, you're right, like, I don't think Shane would have been like, oh no, I didn't just really mean it. I don't think, like, that just doesn't seem sensible, like, logical, or, like, in character for Shane.
Yeah.
So I think he was sincere about that. But then, of course, Otis has to be, like, the hero. He has to be we're both gonna die, I'm gonna kill us both, like, and if both of us can't get out, then neither of us is gonna get out, and that boy's gonna die, so help me God. Hopefully some of the other people at the farm will die too. Hopefully Rick will kill himself out of grief. I'm taking us all down. Okay, so basically, like, and then, because then Shane is like, well, okay, I mean, like, they run away for a little while after Shane offers to sacrifice himself, but then he's just like, well, look,
one of us has to.
So then he shoots Otis and sacrifices him. I mean, I'm not saying that it's justified, but I think that Shane was perfectly willing to die. Like, I think he was just like, one of us, he just thought one of us has to die.
Right.
And so, like, and he was willing to be the one to die. And so I don't think it's fair to say, like, oh my God, he's the most evil.
Monster.
Yeah, he's like pure evil because he sacrificed Otis. It's like, well, I mean, it doesn't mean it's right, but he, I don't think it's fair to like condemn him too much for it. But that's just an aside. But yeah, he makes the story more complicated than it needs to be. Right. He should have just. Go ahead. He's
gonna catch him. Like, he's gonna get himself caught up in a lie because, like.
Yeah.
He's making it a lot more complicated, and like,
and that's what happens. Later, And, like, he could have just said, like, oh, you know, I was carrying the supplies. Otis, like, a bunch of walkers jumped out from behind a corner.
He fell. Like...
Yeah, but, like, basically he could have just said, you know, we got swarmed or something happened and I couldn't save him.
Right.
And so I just had to, like, run away.
Right.
And I feel like that would have...
People would have, like...
Yeah, like, it would have been a lot harder for them to, like, poke holes in it.
Right,
like,
right. And, like, Otis wouldn't be, like, a hero, I guess, but it would have been, like, a better story
it seems a bit more, like, just believable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No one could get mad at him for that.
Yeah. I agree, yeah.
Okay, so the next big thing is when Lori is asking Glenn to get a pregnancy test when they're, like... When Glenn and Maggie are going to go into town.
Yes. This is riddled with problems.
So Glenn, like, has his list of things that he's going to get. And then she, like, hands him one more thing. And she's like, this is a personal item. And
yeah.
Her accent isn't that thick. But she's like, it's a personal item.
Yeah,
Keep
he's
it
like,
discreet.
what's this? Yeah.
He's like, what's this?
She's like, look in the feminine hygiene section.
Right. Okay, so this either strictly has to be just a way to get the audience to be like, what is he getting? Mm-hmm. Because, like, did she just write pregnancy test? Because if she did, then he
yes, like, okay, Glenn, we need to have you tested for, like, you know... some kind of, like, serious mental problem. Like, if you don't know if you're, like, 20-something and you don't know what a pregnancy test is, like, you have no clue what that means, like, there's something wrong with you, Glenn. Like,
and then, okay, when he does find it, he picks up the brand True Blue. But, like, so did she write True Blue on the list, like, specifically? Because I can see, like, that being a little confusing.
Sure,
like, what's that? But, like, would she have, like, been like, I didn't want...
Yeah, like he finds a different brand of pregnancy test, and then she's like, nope, I'm not even gonna bother with it. Like, yeah, like, she's like, no, I'd rather have nothing if it's not True Blue. And it's like, I mean, this is like a small town. Like, when they actually get to the pharmacy, or the store, it's not even... It's not even like a pharmacy, yeah.
If you look close enough, so, like, there's an end cap that says...
Like, when Glenn is, like, at the feminine hygiene, like, the shelf, because it's like each section is just, like, one shelf, basically.
The shelf right behind it is
the feminine hygiene one, yeah. And he's, like, looking through stuff, the one right, like, behind that is hardware. Yeah, and it's like, this is kind of a strange store, like...
What kind of store is this?
Yeah. It's it's very strange when you notice it.
So he finds the pregnancy test and, like, shoves it in his bag because Maggie walks up and she's like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And he just, like, picks up whatever's at his
he grabs
hands.
some random thing.
Right.
And it's a box of condoms.
And
like, what if it had been something else, something that was a bit seemed stranger to Maggie than condoms? Like, what if it was, like, anal lube or, like, a female douche, or, I mean, you know, like, there are any number of things where it's like, I feel like that would be a stranger. Like, it would be much more awkward.
Okay.
And we were wondering, would Maggie still have, like, had sex with him on the spot?
If, like,
I think so, yeah.
Like, a vaginal douche. And he's just like, I'll have sex with you.
Yeah. She's like, you're a pretty confident guy. Yeah.
You think you're gonna douche me?
What if it had been, like, a box of, like... That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, she's like, okay.
You're pretty confident.
She's like, I'll let you douche me. And he's like, really?
Or if it was anal lube.
Yeah. Or what if it was like a box of, like, extra small condoms or something?
Extra small.
And she's like, I like a man who's confident.
Let's see if you know how to use it.
Yeah. And so, like, Okay, yeah, and so I think she was basically looking for
Just
an
ready to
excuse.
go.
Yeah, I think she was like pretty attracted to him already.
Non-guitar playing really got her
Yeah,
going.
and the discussion about whether God existed
Yeah,
and how he
she
hadn't
was
prayed. Yeah,
This is the only boy about my
Pretty
age
much,
that I've
yeah.
seen in a month. I'm ready. And
Yeah.
we're married now.
I
Glenn.
think so. Yeah, I think she was just like, yeah, pretty much. Like, she was, because, like, she's like, you're not the only one who's lonely. When she, like, takes off her cowboy hat, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Before she starts undressing.
Right, and he's
yeah.
like awkwardly like not looking at her, even though she's like she just said she'd have sex with
Yeah,
him, and she's
yeah.
undressing in front of him. He's like,
he's pretty, like...
like looking at the ceiling.
Yeah,
and stuff.
he's feeling pretty awkward about the whole thing. Yeah, so...
So okay, so he takes the pregnancy test back to Lori along with their other supplies, and like he pulls it out of his bag and it's wrapped in another bag. So
it's like in a bag.
He stopped to grab like a grocery bag at some point
To keep it a secret,
right,
like she
right,
asked.
because she asked for it to be discreet.
Mm-hmm.
And she just like rips it from his hand and like sticks it under her shirt / in her pants in the back of her pants and keeps it there for hours. Because later we see her take it out.
Long after nightfall,
right.
when everyone else is asleep. Yeah.
But like...
It's like, that was not necessary. Like, no one suspects you of, like she could have, like, just gone off and, like, stashed it in a bush or something.
She could have done the test, like, then.
Pretty
like,
much, yeah. I mean, yeah, she's being, like, really secretive, like, way more than she needs to be.
And you brought up a good point that, like, she's skin and bones, so, like, wouldn't someone be like, what's that rectangular
lump
thing?
under, like on your back? Yeah. Like, Lori, there's, like, something, like, on your back. What's going on there? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I think it would be pretty noticeable. And so...
She goes out in the middle of the night to take the pregnancy test.
Yes, it's the end of the episode, but like, okay, she goes out. Okay. She, like, waits till everybody's asleep.
Yes.
I mean, the moon is, like, high in the sky, so, like, it's what, like, midnight or... I mean, it's, she waited, like, a while. She goes out, like, into the field, like, who knows how far away from the house and the camp. Like, way farther than she needed to. And to take the test. So, okay. She could have just... gone and peed, like, wherever they've, like, in the bushes, wherever they've been peeing.
Right, where they've made their, like, designated bathroom spot. Because I'm sure they have
one. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Like, she could have just gone off, like, I mean, fine, like, wait until night or whatever, like, so it's dark, but she could have just gone off and peed on the pregnancy test. Like, what is she afraid of? Is she concerned that... she's going to be peeing on the pregnancy test and somebody, like Dale, is going to, like, burst out of nowhere and be like, hey, Lori, what's going on? I see you're pissing. Hey, look, there's something, like, you're pissing on something. What's that? Let me see. And, like, stick their face, like, down into her groin or start, like, grabbing for it and, like, reaching around for the be like, what's that? What's going on? Like, if okay, someone would not have, like, barged in.
They might have said, like, Lori, what are you doing? And then realized she was peeing.
But it's just like, I'm peeing. And then they'd be like, oh, okay, sorry. And it's like, it's dark. Like, if she waited till, like, she's being, like, so ludicrously paranoid about it. Totally is. And, like, what would have happened if she broke her ankle or, like, was attacked or just got lost?
Right,
or,
what
like,
if a walker
there's,
had
like, so
up?
many, like, that is such a dangerous and unnecessary trip she took out to the field. She also, this is a minor point. Like, maybe doing it behind some trees or something instead of an open field. Like, maybe that would have been more secretive than the open field.
She pees on it. Okay, one, your best results are going to be your first pee in the morning, not your last pee at night. And then...
That's a good point.
Thank you. And then, like, she takes it and it processes basically immediately.
You're right.
You're supposed to wait at least 3 minutes for it to, like, totally register your hormone levels. And then looks at the test. And it is so obvious that there's just a positive sticker on the test. Like...
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
Google Lori, or The Walking Dead Lori pregnancy test, and then you will find a picture of the test, and you can just tell that it's just a sticker that's not even, like, on their well. Like, it's, like, coming up on the edges. Jesus.
Yeah. The actress was like, wait, I'm not supposed to pee on this for real? Like, the sticker's peeling away. Yes, no, I agree. It was pretty fake looking.
So we kind of like talked about everything.
Right,
happened with
everything
Lori and the
relating
pregnancy
to that
test.
whole
Right.
subplot.
Right. Even though
Yeah.
that was like broken up throughout the episode. But like before she knows she's pregnant, Shane is talking about like leaving, right?
Yeah, because like he's kind of it's been brought up a couple times. He found his car that's going to keep reappearing, like when they were on the highway. Yeah,
Forever and ever.
Yeah, and he's like, at the time he was like, I'm going to leave like the first time I can slip away without people noticing.
And him and Andrea have been talking about it.
Right,
off and
that's
on for a
true.
while.
That's true. Andrea was also like, we should leave because
Yeah.
we're the outcasts.
We're the- yes,
yeah. So she also so Laura, like at this point, like I can't remember, did he like bring it up, or I think it was like she was like, you should hang out with Carl or something like that. It was something like that, but it was like about bonding with Carl. And Lori basically says, "Don't leave us," because she keeps like flip flopping on whether she
Right.
like.
Well,
or,
because like at the CDC, she was like, "Leave me alone. Leave
yeah.
my son alone."
Yeah, she
like,
was like, "My family is
don't
off
talk
limits."
to
Yeah.
And now she's like asking him to stay for Carl and this goes to the deleted scene that like if like you hadn't seen the deleted scene, it seems kind of random, I guess, other than the fact that he just like saved Carl's life by getting the supplies. But in the deleted scene, Shane and Carl like are bonding, and so I think like she sees them bonding and wants him to stay to like keep that bond going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does tie back to the deleted scene. So then, like the other subplot. There's like, let's see, what are there, like 3 or 4 different plots going on in this episode. So, so the next one is, they're like
Daryl.
dealing with the well. They're like gonna go like start getting water. I think for like the camp, they're like, they want one of the wells to like get their own water, like. And Maggie's like, we got one over there. Yeah. So then they go over there and they're like activating the well, and like T-Dog's about to drink some of the water, and Dale like smacks it out of his hand and is like, I wouldn't drink because he sees a walker, like he hears a walker down there. Yeah. And so there's like this big bloated walker down there like hanging out in the well. And so then they're like trying to figure out how to get it out, and they're like, we can't just shoot it because then it'll contaminate the well.
Although, if it hasn't already.
Right, and it's kind of like
they do say that. They're like, if it
but it's
hasn't
like, how
already.
are they going to test it exactly?
No, that's a good point.
Like, give it to the cattle? I mean, like,
you're right,
I don't know.
there's no
Like,
way
and just
for them
see
to
if they
test it.
die?
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, so they're like, okay, how are we going to get it out without, like, spilling its guts all over?
And so they try using
like
a canned ham.
Yeah, it's like this like gigantic gray canned ham.
So like one, the walker doesn't go for it
rope.
because it's not alive. But 2, like you just wasted.
I mean, it looks like a fair amount of protein.
It looked like a big ham. Like you just wasted a canned ham. Jesus. If, like, food is so scarce,
especially
stop
like
wasting
canned
your
food would be good because then you can save it.
Yeah.
You should have been like, let's go try to find like a dead animal like lying around somewhere.
And
you know?
it might have actually gone for a dead animal.
Yeah.
Like
they didn't even try using a live animal.
No,
I don't think.
they didn't.
You know,
I don't
like
think
that might
so.
have actually.
Like even if they found like a possum or something, it would have gone for that.
They could have just like waited. Like I don't think Daryl was. I think out looking for Sophia.
Dale.
Daryl. I'm just thinking because he could catch them a possum or something really easily.
Absolutely.
Like they could have like waited for him to get back. Like if they didn't feel like they could catch something alive, you know, or hunt something, but like to use as bait.
So their next best option apparently is to send Glenn down.
Yeah, they're like, well, the ham didn't work. Let's just send Glenn down there. Let's just
Although
like risk him.
Although we've all been here
know?
safe, and you just went on a run to get supplies for us. We're gonna send you down the well.
They know. Okay, they know that they can take advantage of him.
Yes,
and they really do. They all kind of. I mean, and Maggie says that like before they have, or maybe that's the next episode. Actually, okay, maybe it's next. Because she's like, you just keep, like, risking your life, and, you know, like, you're not walker bait to me, you're my husband since we had sex in the pharmacy.
She doesn't say that.
I'm interpreting what she means. But yeah, so it's like, sure, let's just, like, hang Glenn down there. Let's just, you know, who cares? Like, well, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really work, like... Glenn almost gets bitten.
Yes.
They pull him out.
He manages to get the rope on it, but and they get him out, but like he almost dies.
Yeah. So then they're pulling it up by its neck.
Yes.
Like
like, oh sure, that's not dumb at all. Like its head won't just pop off, you know.
I don't know how I think I don't know how they could have gotten it like around his waist necessarily, but I don't think his neck was a very smart idea.
Yeah.
And they're pulling him up, and they actually have him, like,
it actually, like, would have worked.
Yes.
Against all odds.
They have, like, half of his body out. And
his
T-Dog's just
butt
standing
gets, like,
there.
Caught.
Yeah. And T-Dog's just standing next to the well.
The rest of them are pulling it up,
And he's like, keep going. And yes, T-Dog has a hurt arm because, like,
because of his,
cut it, and he's getting blood poisoning and everything. But, like, the walker is stuck there for several seconds.
Its ass gets caught on the lip of the well.
Because it's so swollen, like so waterlogged.
And then they're pulling it for like a solid minute or something when it's like after they know, you know, like, and they're like, hey, it's stuck. And like he's just kind of standing there going like, oh, it's stuck.
Right.
Like basically just, you know, and it's like if T-Dog had just like grabbed it,
even maybe by the pants, even.
Yeah. I mean, like he could have done like even with one. I mean, I think he can use both arms, but like just for the sake of argument, let's say that he can only use one, like his uninjured arm.
Right.
He could have gotten it. He could have grabbed it by the pants. He could have grabbed it by like one ankle or something, and just like or grabbed it by the taint and just like shoved it. What? I'm saying just like shoved it. I'm not saying it wouldn't be gross, but it's less gross than what happens. And then like shoved it, like just get it over the lip.
Yeah.
And you know, like it actually would have been fine.
And for argument's sake, if we're like, oh well, he was afraid of getting bitten, he was afraid of getting scratched. He could have just like
he has
stabbed
like a baseball
it in the head.
bat or a sledgehammer or something.
Right.
You know?
He could have done something to the head because he knows where to go now. And just to kill it and then pull it up all the way. But instead, he just watches it and he's like, oh, keep pulling, it's stuck, and doesn't do anything.
He just provides commentary on it.
And it rips in half.
The bottom half falls down the well with its guts and its
like
blood.
now it's for sure contaminated.
Oops, yeah, you know.
Jesus, T-Dog.
And then he bashes its head in.
Yes.
This is what makes me think he can use both his arms and he's really not that injured because he like bashes its head in aggressively like over and over with I can't remember if it's a bat or a sledgehammer or something, but he's got like a big blunt object that he like bashes its head in after the fact when it's too late.
Maggie has like this really adverse reaction.
She's like yeah, she like makes a weird face and gasps.
Wait, even if it was a person, it's splitting in half.
Yeah, it's like
its
not
bottom
half
from that.
is gone.
It's not coming back from
like,
that.
Do you really think? Okay, yes, no, I totally agree. If she thinks that that's something, she's like, no, you can still recover.
Right.
I'm sorry, your whole family is a bunch of idiots. If any of you believe that, I mean, obviously they're pretty dumb to like believe that the ones who are like missing big parts of their, you know, like that are like missing half their face and like, I mean, like, okay. I mean, that's pretty dumb. They should know better. Like,
absolutely.
Maybe like Otis, they all know Herschel's crazy and they're just like too afraid of him to like say anything. But like, yeah, she like, come on, like, yeah, even if you think that's an like someone just crazy with disease or whatever, you know. Are you saying that it's not like a mercy killing to just like bash its head in
because if half of its body is gone?
Yeah, and it's like its guts are hanging. Like, I'm sorry, that's just weird. Yeah, she has like a really weird kind of inappropriate reaction to that whole thing.
She really does. And Glenn's like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and he just like assumes it's because she's never like seen one killed,
right?
And so he's like, he's like, oh, let me comfort you. You know, I mean, you know, that's the subtext, I think. But, yeah.
And then the very last, like, small storyline of the episode, I think it's the last one.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that, like, Shane takes Andrea and Carol out to, like, teach them how to shoot.
Yeah.
And I think this is when Carol starts becoming more...
A bit. Like, when she starts developing a bit more personality and not just, like, being like, oh, no, Sophia. Like, you know, yeah.
And Shane says, like, the stupidest thing. Just, like...
Yeah.
My God, the audacity to say, like... He's, like... a moving target, especially one that's like trying to kill you and it's life and death, a moving target is different than a paper target. And it's like, well, no fucking duh.
Yeah. It's like, really? It's not the same as shooting a stationary paper target. Yeah, he kind of makes like, he kind of makes too much of it. I mean, he probably should have just said, because like, he probably should have just said the part where after that he's like, oh, you think things slow down, but it actually speeds up. And like, you know, it's like because of adrenaline and like, like he probably should have just, but
and
like
if
the
he
whole
was just
like, it's different
a lot
than
more
a paper
difficult
target.
Than you think, like, that's cool. Like, no problem.
But no,
it is
kind
more
of
difficult.
Yeah, it doesn't really like make any sense to say that. Like well,
we're not idiots.
Mean,
like, we know that. Jesus.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's pretty silly the way he says that, and then like he's like having what he's saying is like subtext for like him killing Otis, because he's like, you gotta be able to like kill a man, and you gotta like be able to like flip the switch off that makes you like, gives you a conscience and makes you human, but then you gotta flip it back on when it's done. And she's like, oh, okay, then I love you, Shane, like let's run away together, you know.